welcome to the Warmness Machine podcast. This is a fiber arts podcast. My name is Lindsay. I am a crocheter, a knitter, and a spinner. And in this episode, we are going to go over a spur of the moment finished object, some whips that I have. I'm going to give you a very short demonstration on center single crochet stitch. And I'm also going to do a book review for the book Yarnitecture. It's over there. And then, as always, I will give you a children's book recommendation like I do at the end of every episode. So let's get into it. So my first finished object is going to be this little purse bag pouch thing. It is made with entirely made with Handspun. My aunt sent me some buttons randomly, so I just have some random buttons, so I picked a button. This does unbutton. And then I do have a project inside. It is fitting, so it's got a little project inside one of my whips, which is a sock. And this little pouch can fit this and this, and that's it. That's it. There's a little one of these in there, but that's also just tiny. And there's some more, so it can't fit very much. I didn't make it super big, but I'm sitting here cross-legged, so if I wanted to knit, I could just knit, which, since this is so nice, it's so nice to just be able to like pull out my little thing, just do to really enjoy. And then on the inside, there's this beautiful fabric that my godmother gave me from her stash. It's like a peacock kind of situation. I really love this thing. My kids love it too. I made it with some Handspun that I'd like to share with you and a little bit of the technique that I used. So, geez Louise. So this is probably BFL. I got like a spinner set from the Woolery and just still have a ton of it left. So this was my first Handspun a couple years ago that just looked okay. It's thick and thin in some places, but mostly thick. And I kind of put it as a sort of worsted weight. And then this yarn is from I'm Fully Spun in the colorway Gender Fluid, also worsted weight. You can tell. Let me see if I can put them together. You can see that they're kind of similar. So I thought they would go well together. This is 3-ply. This is 2-ply. And this is actually spun, the singles were spun S-twist and then Plied Z-twist. So they were spun counterclockwise and then plied clockwise. What's the difference with that? Well, I was reading a lot of books on yarn and things that when you have your singles in the S and then ply Z, it's really good for crochet. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's like, it was so easy and so fun. And the stitches. This is a part from this. This was whatever was left on the bobbin and that I chain plied. So I have these 3 wonderful things. And this color, this like pink that goes into the purples and it goes to like a white. You can see I used it on the band. So you have the pink that goes to the white and then goes to the purple. It's very pretty. So yeah, that's mine. And then inside is a pattern by Denise DeSantis. It is the Soxsploration, no, Shadow Wrap Hill. It's right here. Hold on. It's called Soxsploration, The Shadow Wrap Heel by Denise DeSantis. And so I am using for the first time double pointed needles that I got from Knit Picks, and I actually really, really like them. They're about 6 inches in length. No one can see unless you put your hand there. So they're about 6 inches in length. And I'm not having a bad time. So I'm almost to, I think I need to do 6 inches. So I have like 1 more inch. I don't really want them to be that long. Yeah, so if this is 6 inches, I'm halfway there. But I think this is a pretty good, if I do 1 more inch, then I'll just start going. But yeah, I'm having a good time. And the yarn that I'm using is from Spur. It's my baby's asleep. Hope she stays asleep. Spur sock yarn in the classic sock, and the colorway is called Arctic Mermaid. And this is from Sorella yarn, and this is just some socks that I got when I bought some yarn from her before I even knew how to knit socks, because clearly I knew I was going to be a sock knitter. Sometimes you just know. It's like, you know, when you meet someone who you're going to be really good friends with, it's not too much of this going back and forth. It's just like, hey, you want to hang out? Like, yeah, I want to hang out. You're like, okay, we're going to be best friends. Like, so yeah. So I'm really happy about this. So this is my finished object. My work in progress. My second work in progress is the Some Me Time Shawl by Locatelli. It is right here. Couple notes on lace knitting. It is not TV knitting. And I'm in between a row. So I am finishing up the 4th repeat of lace. In between the lace, there's some garter stitch, like a few rows of garter stitch that have increases in them. And I am, first of all, I'm so impressed with myself not being that great of a spinner and having these little thick and thin singles, but they still knit up fine. So I am here, I don't know if you can see, but this is where I'm at. And I have about this much left from this, you know, cake. And then I have this cake here. So, you know, I love this. I love knitting it. But I do want to be done. I do want to be done now because I have to actually pay really, really good attention, and because it's very long now, I can only do a couple rows without I can only do a row without being interrupted by little ones or things that are going on. So those are my 2 projects. Of course, the sock project you can always take wherever you want, and it just goes with me everywhere, and I just adore it. So those are my finished object and my works in progress. So I'm a little out of sorts, I guess. Let me take a sip. So now we're gonna go into spinning. Let me show you what I finished. I had 3 singles of cheviot, and they are now plied into this sock yarn. But you're gonna see right here and right there, if you can see it, I don't know if you can, it's under plied. And this is why I don't ply at night. I spin at night, but I can't ply at night because I'm actually looking, you know, and like waiting. And so I'm gonna have to run this through my wheel again to add more twist to the plies, because even though it's not underspun everywhere, it's underspun enough that I know. And the whole point of sock yarn is durability, and I kind of need these plies to kind of snap together. So this is all I have for spinning in this episode. I have not yet begun to spin for my long-term project, but I'm gonna extract that out and make that into a different episode so that it's more cohesive. So you'll get more information on that later. Now I'd like to do a demonstration of the center single crochet stitch. So this is not single crochet where we're going through here under these 2 bars. We're actually gonna go through this little V right there. And the V, we go through it, and it takes a little bit of practice, and you will need a bigger hook usually to do this, but we go through, we pull up a loop, and then we pull.
Why are you doing something with that?
Because I'm doing it for Mama's YouTube, honey. Okay, so again, you see that there's this little hole here with the 2 bars. We're not gonna go through there for single, for center stitch. We're gonna go right in here, which is hard to find, but that little V right there. I love you too, baby girl. I love you too. And see, you wanna kind of make it loose, but you see, you're gonna get this little V on a V, V on a V.
Okay.
So so forgive, but you see here, these look a little, these are the regular ones where we didn't go through the V's. But here are the ones where we went through the V's. That's not one where we went through the V. But this one is V on V, V on V, V on V. And that will resemble this. A V and a V, a V and a V. And it's basically the same thing I did, only this is cotton yarn. So it's not gonna look, exactly, it's not gonna be, the definition is gonna be different, but it's the same exact technique as that. And I don't know if I'm wrong because the V's go sideways. I don't know if that's something that I did, but yeah. So that is center stitch single crochet, and I'll just demonstrate a little bit more. Don't get your fingers dirty, okay?
Okay, no.
Okay.
See,
don't mess with it, okay?
okay, not messing my fingers up.
Okay.
Understand.
Okay. So again, I'm going to show you. There's this V, and that's what we're going in. And again, usually when we're doing this stitch, we're doing it with a bigger hook. See? Because it's a pain to do it with a little hook. So you want to do it kind of loose. See? And then the net, and you want to do it kind of loose because when I come back around, I'm going to have to go through these stitches again. So that's why you don't want it super tight, which is why you just pick up a different, because when we go through, we're going to have to go through these V's. That V. That's why we don't want it tight. All right, I hope that was helpful. I know this is my first demonstration of anything, and that's not, I don't know if I'm good at it, but at any rate, these were the regular crochets, and then we could see some of the center stitch, single crochet stitch with the V's. So
I gotta get my fingers dirty.
you did?
Yeah.
Let's go wash them in the sink. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Okay, so you can see that beautiful, beautiful color and cover and a hard back. I have not seen these in and soft back. Look at this. Look at this. So this has a foreword by 2 different people. We'll get into the contents in a minute. But Clara Parks is someone who's well known in the knitting yarn industry. She wrote a book called Vanishing Fleece, which I did listen to actually, and it was a really good book. She also wrote other books like Knitlandia and A Knitter's Book of Yarn, just to name a few. And the other person, so if you ever want to read any of her books, they're very good. I don't know if she spins. I know she knits. And then we have J.C. Boggs, who to me is like the face of Plied magazine on Instagram. She also has a book called Spin Art, Mastering the Craft of Spinning Textured Yarn. And I have yet to read it, but it looks very, very cool. And she just seems like a really cool person. I follow Plied magazine on Instagram, so I know who she is. So before we get into anything else, let's go back to the chapters. There are 9 chapters total in the book. And you can see that, you know, these 4 chapters are really the building blocks of spinning. How to spin with intention. Whether that's choosing the appropriate fiber, which we go sheep breeds and beyond. It talks about goat, talks about silk, other natural fibers. Yak, bison, and musk oxen or musk ox. And then it goes into explaining the different fiber preps. So we have fiber preparation, woolen versus worsted spun, and, you know, silk preparations and things. I've never spun silk, and I've never spun woolen spun, but these are things that they talk about in the book, and then they talk about drafting. One of the things that I really, really, really like about this book is that they're giving you picture after picture after picture of things, and so it's you really, if you're a visual learner, this is a really good book for you. The second set, 5 through 9, those chapters go into plying, you know, using ways to manipulate color, and setting up your wheel. Here in the first chapters, it talks about setting up your wheel and making things easier for yourself. The drive systems, how to draft consistently, thick or thin. And then here we go to plying, color, finishing, and then knitting. And then this chapter is just all of the patterns that go with this book. And what I really like, you'll see here, is these appendices. You have suggested reading. You have a glossary of techniques. These are predominantly for knitting techniques, abbreviations on, I think, knitting, other resources, acknowledgments, and then an index. So one of the things about this book that everyone should know is that this is mostly about spinning with a spinning wheel. You'll see, I think on this page, that there's Jillian spinning on a spinning wheel. It doesn't really talk about spinning with a spindle, and that's okay. That's okay, because the techniques for spinning are applied to both spinning with a spindle and spinning with a spinning wheel. So spinning on a spinning wheel. I just want to show you a couple pages now, just to give you some examples of this book. This is page 17. So we have here this braid, and then you have different examples. Let me see if I can scooch in. So you see A these are all swatches from these yarns, and A is a fractal spun yarn, which they talk about. It's 2-ply. This one is chain plied, so you can see the colors are staying together a little bit more. C says plied as it came, so just spinning as it came, plying as it came, no big deal. And then we have D down here. D is flipped 2-ply. I actually don't know what that means. I gotta go back and see. And then E is just, this is just a single, and that was knitted up as a single, which some people think you can't do, but you can. So isn't that cool? I love this book, just from the colors and the pictures alone. Next page I want to show you is just a little bit deeper into the book. So here it talks about the drafting triangle, and sometimes people will talk about this. This is the triangle, the drafting triangle, and where it's placed, where your hands, now this is all drafting worsted style, but you can tell that it's really before the twist. There's no twist in between the fingers usually, you know, you don't really see that. So that's worsted spun. And then it shows you how to, this is drafting woolen style, and you'll see right here that the drafting triangle is between these two fingers, and that's one of the indicators of a woolen spun yarn. So it's just such a good book with great examples. I'll give you one last example. Is this the page? This is the page. This is the page. So this is an example of spinning 2-ply yarns and what that means. You can see that this is the stockinette. This is the lace. Lace is really, 2-ply is really good for lace. And then you have the cable. And you're probably like, oh, that cable doesn't look so bad. Flablam! You see that with a 3-ply yarn, it really pops. And that the lace is not fantastic with the 3-ply yarn. And that, you know, you have other examples. So this is just so good for examples. It goes into finishing, and then I also am. Has. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yep, this has my Maya cardigan, which is my long-term project for this year right here, and all the information that I needed is on this page. So, So let's look at my face now. Okay. So final thoughts about this book. I'm not really one of those people that is just going to say, I give it 5 stars. I give it 4 stars. Do I recommend this book or not? I do. I do very much. I have read 2 other spinning books. One is called Start Spinning by Maggie Casey, and the other one, The Intentional Spinner by Judith Mackenzie McCune. And they were both good books. I learned stuff from them, but there's not a lot of pictures in those books. And just this book kind of just gives you everything you need to know, in addition to having the patterns for you to like practice the techniques, because certain, you know, you're not even going to use the same technique with the same fiber, because you're not going to find everything all, you know, all the time, the same thing all the time, you know. But it's just, I really enjoyed this book. The second thing to say about this book is that the writing style is super accessible. It's done in first person narrative. So she's saying like, I do this when I'm trying to spin this. This might not work for you, but it works for me. And this just, at first it took a, you know, because some people are writing differently. Those other 2 books I just mentioned, they're not written that way. So it's a little bit more dense. And, you know, who cares? You know, we read what we want to read or what we like, things like that. But those are the 2 things I noticed immediately. And then, even though I knew I learned things from those 2 other books, I still learned so much from this book, and it's so beautiful. And this was a book that was given to me by my beautiful friend right after I bought it. So I purchased this book, and then my friend came to visit and brought me this book. And my other friend in the area just happens to spin and knit, so I gifted her this book. And like, I hadn't even read it yet, and I was like, I think that's a good gift. I think that's okay to give my friend. Like, you know, it's not a garbage book. It's not like it's just gonna sit on the, you know, but like, no, if you're just now, if you're like, I think I want to learn how to spin, I think I'm gonna buy a spinning wheel, this is the book. My only, you know, issue would be that it focused on spinning at a spinning wheel instead of spinning on a kick spindle or a Navajo spindle, or, you know, a Turkish spindle, or any spindle. You know what I mean? So yeah. Since I'm here, I might as well do the children's book recommendation. This book is really nice. So this book was a gift from my daughter's godfather. He gave her like a book subscription, and this was one of the books that she got for her birthday as part of the subscription, and we just really, really enjoy it. It's called The High Street by Alice Melvin, and this is a rhyming book. My daughter is, you know, like a toddlerish thing, and so rhyming words are really cool. But what it starts, so I'll read one page to you. We'll start on here. Mr. Botton's Bakery is here at number 2 with fresh baked loaves, baguettes, hot rolls, jam tarts, and cakes on view. Silver trays of sugar donuts, sticky, soft, and sweet. Sally's tummy rumbles as she skips in off the street. So there's Sally. She's got some errands to run, and then you open it up, and it's just these cool pictures, almost like the last book by Tom Gould. Just such lovely artistry. And we just see her pick up her items with wonderful pictures, and it's a nice one. It's a nice, easy book to recommend because it's just fun. There's no agenda. It's just fun. Sally's trying to go get, she's going to the hardware store. I say, what's going on with that baby? Lots of nice little questions to ask little kids with that book. And then my son likes it, but not like my daughter. So, of course, he is into Spider-Man. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this was a good episode for you. If you liked this content, if you liked this episode, please feel free to join me next month. This is a monthly podcast. It's an inclusive space filled with joyous things. And I have to go be with my children. Have a great day. Bye. Good job. All right, here we go.
Again, Mama.
Again? Okay. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sun shine away.